Welcome to our Afluencer podcast, where we connect brands with micro influencers and small business owners, e-commerce, all that good stuff. We've got Amy Vincze with us today, who's the founder of Soar With Tapping. Amy, we're going to get into your app, which I know is very highly rated in a moment, and in terms of the details and your work with influencers to help promote it. But first, can we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey before you started the Soar With Tapping app.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. My name's Amy Vince. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Been here most of my life. Married, have a 10-year-old daughter, and I had a cancer diagnosis when I was a little over 30 years old
Wow.
that started me on the path of healing and health and wellness and everything having to do with that. I was suppose I had a question, why me? And it wasn't like, why me? I'm yelling at the universe. It was like, no, really, why is it that I got this cancer when other people my age are not? I really wanted to solve that problem. And I got a lot of different answers and a lot of informed opinions about how that came to be. And it really kind of shaped who I am as a person now in a really wonderful way. And it got me started with Tony Robbins, which is where I met somebody that introduced me to tapping. So I've been a tapping coach now for over 15 years, and I absolutely love it.
Well, that's interesting. So let's get into that, Amy. And you're going to have to educate me, because I know Tony Robbins. I've read, I don't know, at least a couple of his books, right? And done audiobooks. I am not familiar with tapping or EFT, so you're going to have to educate me here.
Okay, no problem. So it's been around for almost 30 years now. And it really is a great combination between acupuncture and traditional talk therapy. Acupuncture uses needles on the energy meridians of your body to help facilitate healing. And the idea behind it is that when you have a pain or a fear or a limiting belief of any kind, there is a blockage in your energy and it's not flowing properly. When you are in a flowing state of energy, your body is healing itself and or you are healed. So either the percussion of tapping or the needles of acupuncture will help facilitate that flow. And I think the thing that makes it really interesting and more powerful than acupuncture is that you are actively talking about what it is you want to release while you are doing the tapping. So, and your body starts to associate an element of peace and calm with it because it sends a calming signal to the amygdala in your brain. That's the fight or flight center where you experience all of your stress. And it sends a calming signal there specifically. And it starts lowering cortisol in your system almost immediately and leading you to feel like, even though nothing has changed, leading you to feel way more peaceful and way more calm in the moment.
Got it. Okay. So from an acupuncture and my experience there, limited, although I got some last week, right? My dentist is big on the acupuncture. So she puts it in the hand and teaches me, keep the meridians open. Don't cross my legs in the chair like I like to, right? So keep the meridian, keep the energy flowing. So on the tapping, that's interesting in terms of being audible with it. So you're, I guess, voicing that emotion to get the right energy flowing, like you said, get that emotional mental block to get through that. Where physically then am I doing the tapping? I assume certain areas of the body or face.
Yeah, they are on traditional pressure points, and there are
Okay.
many of them all over your body. There are some that are widely agreed upon, but from one tapping coach to another, they might differ slightly. But for the most part, there's a karate chop point right here. So you tap on your karate chop point, eyebrows, side of the eye, under the nose, mouth, collarbone, under your arms, ribs, wrists, and top of your head. Yeah, so there's many all over your body. We try to make it as easy as possible to remember all these things. Some people just tap on one side of the body versus the other. I like to tap on both sides of my body. I figure while we're here, we might as well get the most bang for our buck. And so I cover all 14 energy meridians and I tap on both sides of my body.
Got it. Cool. So let's talk about the app, Soar With Tapping app. So
Mhm.
how How does it work? I've got my Android. I'm one of the few of the proud, right? Android or iPhone. I download the app, right? Soar With Tapping. How does it work? How does it walk? Right, a complete newbie like me, right? How does it walk me through that?
Well, first things first, there's the video that says "Let's start tapping," and it'll show you some of the features of the app, but it'll also just introduce you to how to tap if you've never tapped before. The tapping points that I use, like I said, could be different from another coach's or even some other apps that are out there. So it's just an introduction to the Soar with Tapping app. It's pretty easy to use. I tried to make it as simple as possible. You go to a main dashboard, you can pick a category, and in the category, there's like 12 different categories from sleep to goal support to physical health or emotional intelligence and support. Everything under the sun that you can imagine, including financial abundance. And so you just pick something and then press play, and it will give you verbal and visual clues about where you should be tapping in the moment. And you're just going to repeat after me, say what I say, and do what I do. And then it'll take you through a tapping round, and there you go.
Gotcha. Do you have a protocol for this? And is it a daily, or am I doing this a few times a day, or a few minutes? Better to do it less in terms of duration, but more often, right? What's a good protocol for tapping?
I would say it depends on what you're working on. I mean, if there's something that's really insidious in your life and you feel like it needs to change immediately, I would hammer it hard. And if you can devote an hour a day to something like that, you will see it go away in a couple of days. I mean, if you can really devote yourself to that. If you just want to wake up and feel like, I want to feel more productive today, there's a quick boost for productivity. So you do 10 minutes a day and just get yourself in the right frame of mind. But the more you create a ritual around it, the more progress you're going to see. When I work with my individual clients, if I only see them once a week or once every other week, we don't make a ton of progress. If they work with the recording from our session every single day, their issues fly fly through, and they don't have any problems moving forward. Like, it's really a fast thing. I've had really big physical issues that I focused in on for 3 hours maybe, and they're gone. I haven't dealt with them since then. It's been over 5 years. So it just depends on what it is you want to work on and how important it is for you.
Got it. Interesting. Going back to the origins of this, then, it was Tony Robbins. I assume he didn't create it, did he, or was he just the person who kind of popularized the method of tapping?
No, it wasn't Tony Robbins specifically. He's more interested in it at the moment, but
Yeah.
it was a psychologist that was working with a client that had a severe phobia of water. And he was playing around with having her tapping on certain energy meridians while they were doing their sessions. And she mentioned that she had like her tummy was upset when they were talking about something. And so he started having her tap on the tummy meridian. And within a few minutes, she was like, "It's gone. My phobia is gone." And she went and ran over to the pool and started splashing water on her face. And so, 1 minute miracle, and which isn't totally common, but the he developed it from that point moving forward. He got more of the energy meridians involved, and it turned into something called thought field therapy. And then another person, Gary Craig, kind of engineered it to the point where it's now called EFT, or emotional freedom technique, where you tap on all of the energy meridians with whatever it is you're talking about, because the other method was a little bit too complicated. Like, where's my stomach meridian, where's my back meridian, all of the, you had to know those specific things instead of just tapping on all of them and freeing your system from it completely. So
Yeah. Was he? Yeah. Thanks for the background. Was interesting. Was he? I assume he was American or Western guy. Did he have Eastern influences then? Kind of a West meets East practice to have the meridians on his mind then?
yeah, he was just doing research at the time, I think, and married the two with tremendous results.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, really interesting. I know from the massage world, right? From there's different approaches, and there's sort of that classic Western approach where it's very mechanical, where
Yeah.
you press this to get this. And then there's the Eastern approach to more the acupuncture, like you were saying, with the meridians. And
Yeah.
there's not necessarily scientific studies backing the meridians other than just 2,000 or 3,000 years worth of literature, right? So, yeah, it's always interesting to see the Western people who incorporate it, even though there's not the holy grail, right, of the scientific study. Are there scientific studies on tapping, or is that something in the works, or is it still like there hasn't been a study done on it yet? Where's that in terms of research?
So far, there are over 300 studies
Oh,
done,
wow. Okay.
peer-reviewed papers
Yeah.
being written, and they all kind of document the success of tapping. I have a little information on some studies here where there was a study done at I think it was a training for tapping. And so they kind of had all the participants rate themselves across a lot of different categories: depression, anxiety, happiness, all of those things. And then they went through the tapping training. Within a couple of days, they had anxiety decreased by 40%, depression decreased by 35%, PTSD symptoms decreased by 43%, pain decreased by 57%, cravings decreased by 74%, and happiness increased by 31%. So that was just one study, and there's over 300 that have been done at this point.
Got it. Yeah, those are pretty significant numbers. Are you seeing an increase in inbound searches then for tapping coaching, your tapping app then as a result of these studies? I assume they're getting more and more out there as people like me get educated.
Yeah. It's not quite mainstream yet. It's getting more and more popularity as people get exposed to it and have a willingness to try it. It feels a little bit silly at first when you're tapping on your body, especially if you're staring at somebody else doing the same thing. It can feel a little self-conscious. But when you start experiencing the results, it's like, well, I don't care how I look. This feels great. So more and more people are willing, for sure.
Yeah, if it works, right? And with
Yeah.
the app, that's the nice thing. I can download the app, go to my couch over here, and not be judged after the podcast, right? So we noticed, Amy, you got a 4.9 out of 5-star rating on the app, which is, I mean, that's higher than you ever see.
Yeah.
What's the secret then to having an app that is just so highly rated and sought out and regarded?
I feel like I just really tried to put myself in the position of the user and tried to make it as easy as possible and as beneficial as possible to them. There was no point in making something that's only beneficial to me, just to the users. So that was really the main guide with designing and implementing everything with the app. And it still is. We're continuing to refine and make it easier for people in whatever ways possible. And
Interesting. Is it free and paid then? I assume there's a generous free component to have the high rating, which is kind of like a requirement for people when they get to the apps. Do you make money off of it also? Is there a premium component as well?
there's a monthly and or annual subscription. There's also free content on there for sure. Yeah, so everybody has access to something. I don't feel like people need to have to pay if they're suffering. If they're suffering with massive anxiety, they shouldn't have to forego help because they can't afford it. That type of thing should be made available to everybody.
Have you used influencers yet to promote the app?
We're just now dipping our toes into that realm, and I'm really excited about it, actually. We've tried some other avenues with mixed results, but I really feel like if we are matched up with the right people, that it could be really beneficial for both of us.
Yeah, sounds like it. So I'm interested in hearing your take on that. What types of influencers then are you thinking in terms of promoting soaring with tapping? Is it, broad, where it could be people who are, helping out with, I don't know, general mental health awareness and wellness, general health fitness? Or are you looking specific in terms of people who are already educating their audience about tapping? What are your thoughts there in terms of potential influencers to work with?
Honestly, I feel like it could be anybody in the health and wellness field. I feel like, we've had a lot of success in physical wellness. Everybody's on that train already. And same with spiritual. There's a lot of people that are well versed in meditation and, everything that goes along that. I feel like mental wellness is just at the start of its journey. And so anybody that wants to have comprehensive wellness across all three areas of your life, even if they're, focused on physical wellness, this is part of wellness. And if they branched over into that area, not only could it benefit them, I think it could benefit us too.
Yeah, makes sense. And that's kind of the best type of partner to have, someone who believes in you and is using, I mean, the app at a minimum, right? Using Soar With Tapping
Yeah.
on their own, because then they can go through and share with their followers, hey, this is how I'm using it. This is how I'm using tapping.
Right.
It's
Right.
helping me out.
Yeah.
Great. So I'll let you go on this one, Amy. How can influencers, creators reach you if they're interested in learning more about tapping, more about Soar With Tapping, or potentially collabing with you?
Well, you can reach me on Afluencers. You can email me, amy@soarwithtapping.com. I'll always happy to respond to people that reach out and have any questions. I'm happy to just discuss things that they might have more questions about what it would look like to promote Soar With Tapping or get access to the app and anything that goes along with it. I'm just
Oh,
open.
great. Thank you, Amy. We'll make sure to get a link to our Afluencer collab then below the show notes here. We'll get a link to the app also so people can get to that, and then your website and your contact info there. And I appreciate you educating me, a newbie, on all of this stuff. So appreciate that. And we'll get this out to our community and hope, I'm sure more people like me who needed to learn about tapping. Appreciate you coming on today.
No, I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Thanks again. Amy Vincze with Soar With Tapping.